Hello and welcome back to We Are Crafted in His Image. Today we're going to work on project number 2 in our Grassy Grove Cocoa and Crafts class, and this is the card that we're going to make. And you can see when you open it up, it has this pretty sunset on the water kind of a picture that we're going to do with watercolor paper. But if you notice, if it's just like this, there's nowhere to write, there's nowhere to put your sentiment or anything. So this one actually has a extra fold there, and yeah, so then you just open it up to the inside and you have plenty of room to write a note to somebody. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this one. A few things that you're going to need that are not in the kit is, of course, you're going to want a watercolor brush or paintbrush, and I do recommend, even if you're using the aqua pen, you're going to want to have a glass of water handy because we're going to use a lot of water today. And I also recommend a really big brush like this one here as opposed to the tiny one. Okay, so we're going to use the big one today. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start on the watercoloring first because that's going to need to do some drying. I may have to pause the video between in order to, because there's some dry time on this. You've got your base piece, and most of all the little extra pieces are popped out already, but there may still be some, so you may need to spend some time in poking all those out. And then you have your insert that we're going to stamp on, but right now we're going to start with this watercolor piece, and I'm going to go ahead and grab a scrap to put on top of here because we are going to use a lot of water. And we're going to go off the edges. I want to make sure it's nice and clean. So what you want to do to start out is we're going to kind of figure out where you want your horizon line to be. I'm going to grab a pencil and just give myself, where did my sample go? There it is. A little mark. You can see I did this one right about just below that. So that's kind of helping me know where I want my horizon line to be on my paper. And we're going to start with the sky, I think, today. So before we do any watering, what we're going to do is grab a block, or if you have like just a white saucer, anything you can use as a palette. I'm going to use one of our clear blocks as my palette. And I'm going to go ahead and drop down. For the sky, I just need a little bit of the Blackberry Bliss and the Pale Papaya. So I'm going to start with those on my block, and really, like, seriously, you just need a drop. You don't need very much at all. Let me switch this. I don't know if it's on autofocus or manual. There we go. Already focused? Good. Okay. Then I'm going to grab Pale Papaya, and I'm going to put a little drop of it over here. Yeah, right here's fine. There we go. And now comes the fun part. So where my horizon line is, I'm going to use a lot of water. I'm going to grab some water here, and I'm just going to brush across there, and I want to wet the paper all the way up to the top. Ooh, I have a mosquito chasing me. All the way to the top, and you want it wet, like you can see the water pulling on the paper. Can you see that? That's what you want. All the way up there. There we go. You might also want to have a paper towel or something handy in case you get a boo-boo and you want to try to blot it up. I'm going to grab one really quick, make sure I have it handy. There we go, sorry. Okay, so my paper is all wet. Actually, I might even go back over this spot here again. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up some of this color, touch it right along the base, and isn't this fun? I just love watching this. Go along there and just let the color bleed up. Now I want more color on this side, so I'm going to kind of build that up. I'm going to rinse off, and I'm going to make sure that we've got plenty of color. I'm going to kind of blend this up into the sky. Just by adding the water and just like letting it pull all the way up into the sky like that. See? Now I want to add some little bits of yellow. Like there's, you know, different colors in the sunset. So to do that, I'm going to grab, let me rinse most of this purple off. a little bit of our pale papaya, and I'm just going to touch it in a few areas. Just let that bleed out. Again, rinse off my brush. I might want to add a little more of this in a few areas up in the sky. And even blend it into that yellow. And now we're going to pause and I'm going to let this dry before I do the water. I'm going to let that just kind of do its thing. Okay? Rinse most of that off of there. And I'm going to leave this on here because I'm going to use it in a minute, so we'll just leave that out of the way. And let's go ahead and do a little bit of stamping. We'll wait and let this dry a little before I go on. Move that there. I'm going to end up just using this as my background. Okay, so now I've got my insert. And on this one here, I did a bit of stamping. I used this big one. I used the trees. I used the little wildflowers in the front. But I think for this one here, I might just do the big one and just the trees. I kind of like that look. So let me get my big stamp here and my old olive. Go ahead and ink that up. Stamp it in this bottom corner. Yeah. There we go. And then go ahead and pull out a darker green. I'm going to use my Evening Evergreen for mine. Grab me some trees, because I really like these pine trees. And put them right up in here. And there we go. That's pretty much all the stamping I'm going to do. Again, there's plenty of room to put a sentiment in here. You could use this as a birthday card, especially for a masculine birthday card, if you have a birthday sentiment you want to put on there. Lots of different options. Lots of room to put a sentiment over here and plenty of room to write stuff. So I'm going to close this up. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere this while we're waiting. Let me go ahead and fold this over. Give it a good score. And then I'm going to fold this one over. Whoops, I thought I did that. Give it a good burnish. I always say score when I actually mean burnish. The score line is already on there for you. Okay, and this side needs to get glued down. So let's get some Stamp and Seal going here. Come on. There we go. And you know what, because this edge is going to be here and it's going to have some play to it, I think I'm going to go ahead and put a little more adhesive along that edge just to make sure. And then we're going to want to try to center this, and it has a very, very fine edge, a very, very fine border around it, but not very much. You want to make sure you've got some room for this to fold over here. But yeah, that is a very, very small border all the way around. So this part is done, other than poking all my extra little bits out. Got a few of those in here. And you know what? I'm not sure what to stamp on the envelope. You know what? Why don't we do the grassy scene across the bottom of the envelope? I think that would be good. Let me grab my envelopes. I'll do that while we're waiting for stuff to dry. Come here, old olive. Doot, 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 doot. We'll just stamp this across the bottom. I don't even think I'm going to do the trees. I'm just going to do the grass this time. Or the grass, the hill, the whatever you want to call it. The greenery. Okay, so stamping is done. Let's see if we are ready to work on our watercolor. Let me pull that back in over here. And it doesn't have to be fully dry, but because I do want some of this to bleed into my water, so it's okay if it's not fully dry, but I do want a distinct line there. So now we need to pull out some Balmy Blue. Let's get a drop of that on our palette here. And where'd my water, there's my water pen. Water painter, I don't know what it's called. It'll be easier on my right. Okay, same thing we did before. We're going to get this thing really wet down here where the water is going to be. And you can see it's already bleeding. That color's already bleeding into there. Whoops, I really got under there. Okay, so we've got some water. I'm going to pick up our Balmy Blue. And we're going to just let that color spread all throughout. Ooh, I guess I need more Balmy Blue than I... Oh, maybe we got plenty here. Actually, I am going to go ahead and get a little bit more. There we go. Pull in some more. There we go. I love watching the color blend and flow. I got a piece of hair on there. Now, like I said, I want a little bit of this to reflect into the water. So what I'm going to do is pick up, well, let me clean off this a little. Pick up a little bit of this color, touch it down right here, and let it kind of bleed its way into the water. And the fun thing with watercolor is just to just play with it, just let it do its thing. And we can even bring some of the pink down in this area, the purple blackberry. Now I don't want it that dark, so I'm going to rinse off my brush and add water and tone that down. And then I'm even going to pick up a little bit of this yellow where we have these, so this is kind of like right here and right here. And just let those blend into the blue. Let's get a little more blue in here. And there, we're just going to let that dry. And once it's dry, then you can go ahead and just adhere this to the inside of your card, and that card will be finished. So I am going to pause the video because I do need this to be fully dry, and I will be back once that is dry. Okay, I am back. Our project is dry. So it always amazes me when I do one of these and I walk and I see it, it looks but then I walk away and I come back and I'm like, oh, I love how it came out. So totally different. You can see the difference each time you do one of these. It's going to come out looking different. It's never going to be exactly the same. That's just the nature of watercolor, but you just have to work with it and love the results when it's done. It's so pretty. So I am going to, again, like I've said before, anytime you do watercoloring and stuff, your paper's going to get warped. You want to make sure you put adhesive all the way around all of the edges so that it lays nice and flat for you when you adhere it. Out of the way. And now bring this in. I almost put it on upside down. And you do have a little bit of a border around the edge of this one as well. And there we have our finished project with our envelopes. You see the inside. I love it. Nice blank card you could use for whatever. Masculine. This would work great for a sympathy card. It could work for any number of different things. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and until next week's class, God's love and blessings to you. Bye.